These are powerful for two reasons. Number one, it shows what's possible, right, in the world of real estate. But if you're coming in telling stories behind the actual closing, then that starts to open up the door like, well, if that couple could do it, maybe I could do it too. You're listening to Real Estate Coffee Talk. I'm your host, Sarah Hilton, and this is your weekly live coffee date with the who's who from every corner of the real estate industry. Hey, welcome to another episode of Real Estate Coffee Talk. Cheers. Oh, there's my camera. Cheers to you. Sorry if you're listening on audio. I was trying to cheers directly to the camera. Thanks so much for joining us today for joining me for another solo episode. Actually, when I was looking through my analytics about the podcast and all that stuff, I was noticing that the solo episodes do significantly better. It's not because of me, but I think it's maybe you're getting better information. So let me know. Shoot me a DM on Instagram at the Lead Suite or email me at hello@theleadsuite.co. Let me know if you're liking the solo episodes. I may do a little changing around. I definitely still need to change that intro, but whatever. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're listening. Take a seat, or maybe you're sitting down driving. And today we're going to talk a little bit about 4 ways to kind of attract and convert more buyers on Instagram or with any sort of video, but specifically, I focus a lot more on Instagram. So before we start, though, let's make that 3 little housekeeping things. One, if you're watching this on video, the hair is greasy, guys. It's summer vacation. The kids are home. The life is crazy. And the hair is a mess. Okay. You don't care. Number 2, if you would like to be on the wait list for the AI for Instagram lead gen course, I haven't named it yet. So, it's kind of like my kids. I have to name them at the last minute, but I haven't named it yet, but it is releasing next week. So if you want to be on the wait list for that, you'll be the kind of the first one to get the email, and you'll be the first ones to get it at the price it's going to be at for that first release. So it's going to be super cheap. Um, Either DM me on Instagram, again, at the Lead Suite. Just shoot me a DM that says AI. That's it. You'll be automatically added. Or you can go into the show notes, find the link, and then add your information from there. All right. And then number 3, if you'd be so kind to leave me a rating or review, I would love you. I love you anyway, but I would love you a tiny bit more. Okay. So enough about that. Let's get into this. So these are kind of like the 4. We're not necessarily going to get into the ins and outs of converting buyers and kind of the technicalities of that. I'm going to get into content that kind of takes buyers on a journey, and all 4 of these things should be part of your strategy. And I know that when we hear the word strategy, it just seems like another job, but actually it should make your work and your content creation and your ideation a little bit easier, right? So I'm also specifically focusing on buyers because I think that given the drama that we have to deal with, right, about what's going on with the lawsuit, whatever, you can even either look at this as the end to your career, or you can look at it as an opportunity, right? And there are opportunities everywhere. And this just simply gives us an opportunity to prove our value, show buyers why they do need agents, show sellers why they need buyers agents. Um, and so we're going to market specifically to these people in these videos. Now, you can find ways to market to buyers that are likely to have something to sell. I'm all for it, right? But I just think that that's going to be an important part of your strategy. So instead of just being like, forget this, I'm marketing just to listings, right? You can really take a proactive approach to continuing to attract these people and kind of build relationships with them, with the strategic goal of course, turning them into clients and commissions and all that jazz, right? Because none of us are here. Well, I might be, but none of us are here to be social media stars. I have to be so I can reach you. All right. So let's go through these. Now, I'm just going to pull up my notes real quick, but a lot of this can be done, or these ideas can be generated or cleared up with ChatGPT, right? So that is the goal of that AI lead gen course. So keep that in mind. I'm gonna give you some ideas for how to do it. But let's go through them. All right. So tip number one, use storytelling to highlight both success stories, but also what you're doing, right? There is a quote, and forgive me, I can't think of who it's by, but I think it's Seth Godin, marketing genius. It says marketing is no longer about the stuff that we make or the stuff that we sell, but the stories that we tell. And it's powerful because storytelling is what is memorable, right? When you're watching commercials on TV, think of the ones that have stuck out to you over the years. Maybe they're funny, maybe they're, wild, but a lot of them tell a story, right? My husband works for New York Life. They had this um I guess whatever season of commercials talking about agape love, right? Those stick out to you. Other ones that tell stories of these Johnson and Johnson ones with babies and all that. These are stories, right? So when you are thinking of sharing listings or sharing closings, just think how much more powerful it is if something comes across the screen and says just sold in Charlotte. Peace out. See you next time. Or something says this is a couple, they thought that they weren't gonna be able to sell in time for the school year to start, but I was up for the challenge. We did A, B, and C. We had a slippery negotiation during that time, but we got it done, right? Or specifically talking about buyers, you can talk about, hey, there was a couple, they thought they'd never be able to find their dream home, right? They didn't have a big down payment. They were kind of stuck in the rat race of rentals, and I just happened to meet them somewhere. Fast forward 6 months, we were able to find them a new construction house with down payment assistance program. They were able to leave closing with very little money out of pocket, and now they're in their home, right? And you can talk about maybe the hurdles you faced along the way. These are powerful for two reasons. Number one, it shows what's possible, right, in the world of real estate. Let me be clear, a lot of people count themselves out of buying a home before they've ever even talked to you. Think about that. They're seeing the news that says, "Oh, millennials are never gonna be able to afford a home," or "Interest rates are too high, nobody can buy." And they don't know how it really works, so they count themselves out, and they just go on with their lives, right? But if you're coming in telling stories behind the actual closing, then that starts to open up the door like, well, if that couple could do it, maybe I could do it too. Right. And this is why stories work so well. It also, the second part is it shows your skills and your tasks and your value as a buyer's agent, right? So people are just thinking that buyer's agents, they open a door, they write up a contract, they go to closing, they take a couple of key pictures, and they just got paid, $15,000 for that. When you and I know that is the furthest thing from the truth, right? So you can talk about all the things that you do within a transaction, right? All the things that make you valuable. You can even talk, even outside of a transaction, about the things that you're doing. Like, here's a real day in the life. I took these people on showings and then they goes to me. I didn't get paid for it, right? All these things that show your value. Um, and then real quick, before I move on to the next one, um, remember that for these, you don't have to be a talking head on camera. It doesn't have to be the way, if you're watching this live, the way you're seeing me right now. I've done this for clients where we have video of the inside the house. So quick little walking tour, doesn't have to be professional. It's just your hands walking through. And then we use time text in the video to kind of guide them through the story, right? So those work really well, and you don't have to get over the hurdle of showing your face. I show your face, show your beautiful face as much as you can. But I'm saying don't let that stop you. All right. So that's storytelling. That's number one. Number two, we're going to talk about leveraging data driven insights, right? So there are some people that are numbers people and they communicate by numbers. But the other thing I love about using data is that it builds trust and credibility, right? Home buyers, especially now in this market and what's going on in the news and everything, they want to make informed decisions, and presenting things as data, as and not your opinion, are ways that you can help them see you as a knowledgeable resource for real estate, right? So one of the let's say, a famous thing is that agents are always talking about now is a good time to buy a home. It could be, Armageddon, and agents will die on that hill, right? It's a good time to buy a home. And the truth is, it may be a good time to buy a home every day, but it isn't a good time to buy a home every day for every person in every situation, right? So if you present data that shows the pros and cons of buying at a certain time in a certain area, obviously with regard to fair housing, for a certain buyer situation, you really start to show yourself valuable. The other way you can use data is to confront people who think maybe there's a market crash coming or who are waiting for a market crash. So you can go through quickly your MLS, be like 2021 home prices rose by 20%. 2022, when everyone said the market would crash, home prices rose by 4%. I'm just like dropping numbers right now, right? 2023, people said the market would crash. The market rose home values by 3.5%. 2024, we're on track to for home values to rise by 7% in my city, right? So that's just data. That's not your opinion. And when you do and you present data, that basically lets buyers figure it out for themselves, right? And they're like, "Ooh, maybe the market isn't going to crash," and that way it's not your opinion. They have no other reason to trust you, because if you're just saying it, then you have skin in the game, right? You're going to get paid if they buy, and then you're going to walk away and they're going to be stuck. But if you're presenting data, that helps them realize what the value is for the stuff and start to trust you, right? Other ways you can use data is you can show what are the market trends in certain areas, what are the projections going on, where are people buying. Another thing you can do with data, and this isn't necessarily to present to them, but you should go behind the scenes and research on websites like keywords everywhere is a big one that I always talk about with Google search data. But probably an easier one for what we're doing here is answerthepublic.com. I always talk about them. But you can go there and see how people are searching. So while I have you here, I pulled up what people are looking for, and I just put in a general thing of buying a home. Let me see if I can grab it right here. All right, give me a quick second. Okay. So we're going to put in something simple like buying a home. And while it drops down, what it just does is it's going to pull out that search phrase and then how people are searching for it, right? And it's also going to break it up by key indicators. And basically, these are just like the most search terms down to the lowest search terms, right? So, for example, let's look at the how when people are asking how questions. The most search is how buying a home works. Great. You can create an easy video based off of that, and it's data driven. People are looking for this. People spending money, marketers spending money on Google search data, they're using that term to put money behind, right? So, how buying a home works. Easy video you can do. Let's move to the what. The top search for that is what tax benefits are there for buying a home. Get into that. You can also partner up maybe with your CPA or, collaborate with them. Sorry, I had to sip my coffee right there. When top search for that is when buying a home, what are the possible closing costs? Great. Let's address that in a video. Um, num- uh, who, oops, who is person who helps buying a home. That's number, I guess they're looking for a realtor, so that might not be great. But one of the other search terms there is when buying a home, who pays the realtor? Excellent opportunity for you to address buyer's agent, buyer's commission, the lawsuit, all that stuff, and show the value and the steps that people are going to have to take when working with a buyer's agent. The other thing that you can um, include in that, is once you have that video, now whenever you meet with buyers, prospective buyers, you can always link them back to that video to watch, right? So kind of make the most for your get the most for your money, or you can pin it to your page, whatever. And then under why, the top search is why buying a home is better than renting, right? Great to address. And you can also use data with that, right? How much are rental rates going up in your area? How much are home values going up? What is going to be their monthly carrying costs, right? You can get really deep into it, or you can just be general about that data. But for each of those, ChatGPT can help you out. I would also get data from your MLS. You can feed that into ChatGPT and have it create those scripts for you. And then lastly, the will buying a home help with my taxes? So similar with the how, but another chance to collaborate or just address that yourself, right? So that is data driven insights, and that's data driven, um, I guess, guidance for you to know what to talk about, right? When you're starting to, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. There's no need to think about what should I post today. You got the answers. I think I gave you 7 right there. So you're good to go. All right. Um, let's see. My third note is okay, utilizing behavioral psychology. Let me show you. Well, if you're watching, but if you're not, if you're listening, this is my Bible. It's called Using Behavioral Science in Marketing. It's by Nancy Harhut. She's a genius. Now, listen, if you don't love marketing, you might look at this and want to just fall into a hole. But the reason that this is so powerful is because it's how humans' brains work. It's how we're wired. It's how we're built, right? And so in that book, they go into behavioral psychology principles. And why these are important is if you can create videos that speak to those principles or that spark those psychological triggers in our mind, then your content is automatically going to do better, right? So, one of the ways that we can use this is tapping into things that influence potential buyers and focus on the emotional benefits of homeownership, right? There are behavioral psychology principles that show that people want and crave feelings of security, feelings of pride when it comes to owning a home, and the feeling of community, right? We all know that. We all want it. If you ask yourself, do I want that? The answer is 99.9% yes, unless you're like a sociopath or something. But you can now create videos and create content that speak to those things. And this is another gem that you can run through ChatGPT and ask it, hey, I want to talk about buying a home by the end of this year. Please write a video script to me using behavioral psychology principles to create it, right? And it'll start doing that for you. But let's talk about these emotional benefits, right? So, for example, let's say you have a video or you're about to list a condo, 2 bedroom, for lack of a better word, starter home, right? Chances are you're attracting people to it that are maybe moving out of their parents' house, maybe they're young professionals, maybe they're moving out of roommates, maybe they've just not owned a home in their life, and this is going to be their first one. So instead of just saying, hey, 2 bedroom, 2 bath on Banana Street, we're going to say, imagine the peace of mind that comes with having your own place, a place that you can call home, a place that you can have people over, a place that you can paint and decorate to your heart's content, a place where you don't have to worry about your rent going up or having to move. This is home, right? And so when you talk through those things, how much more memorable is it for the viewer or for the prospective buyer when you're talking through things like that and you're speaking to the heart of like what humans want, what humans crave, what we need, right? It's really, really powerful, right? So that is another way. And there are lots of other um, behavioral psychology principles that you can use, like scarcity. I mean, there's a lot. We won't even go through them now. But basically, by appealing to their emotions and psychological triggers, you're more likely to inspire action from them, right? And then tip number 4 is creating engaging, shareable content, right? So these are, in some ways, they're 2 separate things. Engaging content is content that's going to get people to comment, to interact, right? And then shareable content, they may comment and stuff too, but they're likely to share. For example, I had a video I just posted for a client. She's a realtor. Unfortunately, it had nothing to do with real estate. It was about being a mom in the summer, and we're at 1.7 million views now. It's so random. She's like, "Am I gonna be on the Today Show?" And, but the reason why it did so well is because it's relatable. Usually moms are stressed in the summer, their kids are home, everyone's kids under a certain age are asking them the same things. We're kind of like living the same life, right? And so people were sharing it like wildfire. There are quite a few comments on there, but it's got like 40,000 shares. And a good way to determine this is like examine your own behavior. What makes you share content on Instagram or on Facebook? It's usually funny stuff, relatable things, or things that you're going to find really good value in and you want your friends to know about, right? So, some examples of these shareable type stuff is you can do funny videos about real estate. You can show maybe events that are happening in your area or a home that's like gorgeous or stunning or celebrities listing in your area. All those things are like interesting to people outside of real estate and they still want to see it, right? The other kind of shareable content that works really well is realtor specific type humor or videos, right? And it's not bad to have a bunch of real estate agents following you. Where you don't want to mess up with that is you don't want to have a bunch of real estate agents in your brokerage or in your city following you, because that's a waste of your time and a waste of the algorithm. But if you're attracting realtors from different cities, then that's your chance at referrals. I love referral business, right? So that's one, that's shareable content. Engaging content is content that's going to get people to act, right? How can we frame our content to make people comment, to make people kind of work, like comment back and forth to each other and have conversations, right? Um, One way that you can do this is, let's say instead of posting a video of a beautiful home, you're going to post a video, but instead of just saying, "Oh, just listed in Miami," you're going to make it interactive. You can ask viewers to comment on their favorite feature. You can ask them which room is your favorite, like vote on your favorite room. Or you can ask them maybe like, how much do you think this costs? How much do you think this house costs? Right? People love to give their opinions. Again, that's a psychological principle. We love to just share what we want to say, right? Say what we want to say. That's a really easy way to take what would be just a regular video and then turn it into something that's very engaging for people. Right. So, very simple tweaks that you can make in your content that make it a lot more engaging. All right. So that is the four of them. Now, one thing I want you to think of is these four basically feed into a strategy, right? And I don't, again, want you to get overwhelmed with strategy, the word. Basically, what you can do, I guess, with your video planning is one day I'm going to do storytelling video. One day I'm going to do a data driven video. One day I'm going to focus on behavioral psychology. And one day I'm going to create a video that is either relatable or shareable or like really good for engagement, right? What you can also do is go into ChatGPT and say, "Hey, I want to generate 20 videos that will be good with attracting prospective buyers in my city, prospective home buyers. I want them each to be one for each day under these four categories," and then let it spit that out for you, right? And then you can kind of massage it to yourself. But um, it doesn't have to be that hard. We're just about taking buyers on our journey and getting people that aren't already in your digital sphere of influence to start finding you and to start following you and building that relationship. And hopefully you can turn that content into commissions. Um, so I think if you implement, actually, I know if you implement these strategies, you're going to see a noticeable difference in your video marketing results, right? Because it's just a numbers game. If you're posting a video a week and you're seeing 100 views, which is nothing to scoff at, it's hard to get 100 eyeballs in your open house, right? But if you're getting 100 views, then maybe if you convert 1% of them, which is pretty good, that's one closing, right? But now, if we start to build up those numbers, then it's simply a matter of A, how you're getting those people off the platform into your world, right? What's your strategy, your conversion strategy, which is a whole other podcast. But B, it's a numbers game. The more people that are seeing your stuff, engaging with your stuff, the more people you're attracting, following you, building a relationship with you over time, the much, much, much more likely it is that they are going to turn into clients, right? So these are really 4 simple things that you can implement today and start growing your video marketing efforts and all that. Because if you're not on video, you ain't doing nothing. All right. So I hope that is helpful. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and then if you want, share this episode with anyone you think might find it useful. Go ahead and either DM me on Instagram at the Lead Suite or follow the show notes at the Lead Suite and send me the word, well, just the 2 letters AI, and you'll be on that wait list. Look out for your emails. You're gonna get kind of like a little promo for it. And then that's it. I hope you have the best day ever. See you soon. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Real Estate Coffee Talk. If you enjoyed it, please take a moment to subscribe and leave us a review. It really helps. If you'd like to be featured on the show, you can get that information right in the show notes. Be sure to tune in next week for another new episode. And until then, keep your dreams big and your mugs full. See you next week.